Good morning.
That's a great outfit.
Oh,
You look great.
well, thank you, Folake. I really appreciate that. How are you guys liking, being on this hit show about something so meaningful? Love and, it feels so timeless, but also so modern in the themes that you guys are discussing on the show.
I'm so proud of this show. I had one show with Mike and Molly, and that was a gift and life-changing. And this one just feels right because without preaching, it's just a great example of love. And it's an example of if you're lucky enough to find that person to walk through this life with, then you win. That's what the world is about. If at the end of the day you can reach over and there's a hand to hold, you're ahead of the game. And I love how different we are because it does, the more we find out about our differences, the more we find out we're the same. And there's just a lovely connection. And what's fun about becoming a couple is, and I think where a lot of comedy is, you have to blend the families. And we all know that's not an easy ride sometimes. And I think that makes for good humor. And I think it's identifiable to everybody.
Folake, do you think that the show really brings home the opposites attract and you find this common ground, which, my goodness, is so thematic of our world?
Yeah, I like to think of it as sort of like an aspirational show. It's a good reminder that it doesn't matter where you come from, it doesn't matter what you look like. At the end of the day, we all want to be surrounded by love. We all want to be able to provide for our loved ones. And that is the most important thing. I think it's very timely during this past few years of anti-immigration sentiment, and just to remind people that like immigrants are human beings, and we're coming here to look for a better life.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. I do love, though, you were born in Nigeria.
Yes.
And something that you said really spoke to me and made me giggle because you said in Nigeria, people just say it like it is, and in America, we have to put a smile on it.
Yeah. Look, in Nigeria, you have to understand the climate there. It's really hot. It's really fast-paced. In Lagos, where I grew up, it's really fast-paced. The government doesn't necessarily look out for you, so you're out there building the roads yourself. Connecting your electric power lines yourself. Like, so you just have to be really, really straight to the point and communicate as efficiently and effectively as possible. So whenever I need like a critique or feedback on something, I just call my brothers at home and they're like, no, that's stupid. Yeah, that's good. And they get straight to the point. We have a conversation in like less than 3 minutes.
I think I'm someone who flowers a lot of things up. I'm very long-winded. I don't know how to edit. I have so much to learn every day. I'm just a student.
If you won't be offended, we can totally work on it.
All right, good. I think I could use some Folake in my life. When you came to America, you played basketball, right?
I did. I was in New York for the first 10 years, and I went to the City College of New York, where I studied theater. And for my last 2 years of college, I got on the basketball team, the Beavers, and I'd never played before. I knew the rules from playing PlayStation with my brothers, but the team was so desperate, I was able to get in, and I was a starter by the second year.
You're also like into martial arts?
Yeah, I always felt like I needed to prepare for the apocalypse, so I started taking Israeli martial arts. It's called Krav Maga. When I moved to LA, and it's pretty badass. It started to scare me for a while because it gave me a lot of confidence, but then the moves are so precise. They're so precise and lethal. So I started getting scared of actually getting in a fight. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but yeah.
I studied Crab Louie.
Oh, I did too, Billy. I was really excited to talk to you about something, which is that you are an awesome vet of stand-up comedy.
Well, I don't know if I'm awesome, but I did it for a long time.
You really did.
You're
You
awesome.
you made that rounds. You were traveling the country, you
Yeah.
know, 250 days out of the year. Tell me about those days.
Well, I started in stand-up. My dad was responsible for all that. He had Richard Pryor albums and George Carlin albums and Bob Newhart albums, and he really introduced me to stand-up. And, I realized pretty quick that I wasn't really going to college, and I wasn't really, I wasn't really cut out for a lot. So I loved the idea of words and making people laugh, and that just clicked to me, and I really loved it. And then sitcoms were big with him too. And when I was young, we would watch The Honeymooners with him, and I would watch, All in the Family and MASH and Cheers and, the Jeffersons. And so I always dreamt about doing a sitcom. And, I went out on the road at about 17, and about 25 years later, I was an overnight success.
Well, I started an online comedy club called Banana Moors.
Really?
Yes, I did, because I felt like those rooms are dark and empty right now, and
Right.
we need laughter. We need comedy.
More than ever.
Can I ask you about a story that really jumped out at me, that the day you met your wife, you saw her 3 times?
I did. I saw her 3 times in the same day. I saw her at a bank in Atlanta. Then I was performing at a comedy club that night, and her and her sister just happened to be there, and I spotted her there. And then I went to a jazz club afterwards, and she was there. And I've told this story a bunch of times, but I actually put it in my act. When I saw her in the jazz club, I figured 3 times in one day, you got to take a shot. So I ordered a glass of wine. I took her to her table, and I said, "Here, drink this until I'm cute." And which I thought was a pretty good line, until my wife looked at me and goes, "I'm going to need another one." I was like, "I'm in love." That was the end of it.
Man, that must really just mean something. You ran into her 3 times in one day. I mean, that's...
She's been the best thing that ever happened to me. What she is, she's just stood by me all the way. She's been my rock. She's been my good sense, my logical brain. And I think it takes you a while when you're married to realize how smart your wife is. And, if I'm listening to her, chances are I'm not in trouble. So I'm good with that.
I tend to follow people who are way smarter, wiser, more zen, and emotionally capable than me, but at least I'm following better people. But I know that, you were just about to give up. You had been doing stand-up comedy, and you got the call for Mike and Molly.
Kind of. It had just kind of dried up. I was in that period in LA that everybody goes through, where it was like just a year or two with no work, nothing on the horizon. And I said, I'm going to hang out one more pilot season. And I only got 6 auditions in that pilot season. And the last one was Mike and Molly. It was literally a Hail Mary into the end zone. And then everything changed. I just happened to be standing in the right place at the right time twice. So I'm very blessed. Very blessed.
Or maybe it was just all meant to be, and you earned it, and you deserved it.
I don't know about that.
Well, Billy and Folake, Bob Hearts Abishola airs Monday nights at 8:30, 7:30 Central on CBS and CBS All Access.